Welcome back. Welcome back to Dub and Tre. We
Hey,
had to
what
bring
up?
it to you again. We had to bring it to you again, man. It's a hot topic. Everybody's talking about it. Will Smith versus Chris Rock. Round one.
Round
Let's
one.
talk. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. You know you hear that bell, so you know we sipping on something good.
That's right. Hey man, so everybody talking about this, and I guess I'll start like I had before with a question to you, and let's kick this off, man. And I know what I think
Cool.
about this already, so I'm gonna ask you. And we haven't talked about this on offline, but a little bit. So this is gonna be a straight conversation for all y'all listeners. This is nothing rehearsed or nothing like that. So my question is to you,
Right.
Trey, man. Do you think it was necessary for Will Smith to do what he did? One, right? And
Mm-hmm.
do you think he sent the message that he thought he was sending about protecting his woman in the manner that he did it?
Well, and once again, for people out there, I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you, and this is my opinion. And my answer to that is fuck no for both of them. The reason why the answer is no. He did not send a message that this is what you need to do to protect your woman. He could have handled it in a much better way. And I'm gonna give you some reasons why. The reasons why the answer is no to your question is because number one, the disrespect doesn't equate to the reaction that you
Right,
gave.
right,
So, with that being said, don't get me wrong. I don't want to downplay what disrespect is.
right,
No one can tell Jada and no one can tell Will what they consider to be disrespect.
right,
We can't say that Chris Rock didn't disrespect them. If they felt disrespected, we have to all assume that they felt disrespected,
right.
right? So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there's a way that you're supposed to handle certain situations, and there's a perception that I see everybody talking about when it comes to Will Smith, especially the women out here. So I need y'all women to chime in because I'm gonna challenge you. Do you really want your man to protect you in that light? Because what I'm going to, and we're going to touch on some other things in other rounds, but do you really want your man to protect you in that light? Yes, Will Smith created a certain scenario for himself, but he is a top tier wealthy black man. His reaction, all of that sounds good when you're talking about Will Smith. But if you're talking about your $70,000 a year man who goes out and he's paying the mortgage for your household, and he goes out and he reacts a certain way because somebody says something to you and gets himself locked up, and now you can't pay the mortgage, and now you can't pay the bills. Now your protection statement becomes he has a temper. He got to do better. He can't overreact like that.
Mm,
Now it's an overreaction.
right.
Stop taking these reactions and making them convenient for your scenario. For Will Smith, he
Mm,
doesn't have to worry about the consequences and repercussions that most black men have to worry about in this society today. So what I'm saying is that what real men need is self-control,
mm-hmm.
regardless if it has to do with what that person, regardless of whether or not it has to do with what that person deserves. That person may deserve an ass whipping. That don't mean you got to do it. And actually, if you do your research about Chris Rock, he has an actual show, a stand up. He said, yeah, some people need their ass whipped. That don't mean you got to do it.
That's
Some
right.
some people need. Sometimes you need to kick an old man down the steps. He deserved that shit. That don't mean you supposed to fucking do the shit.
Right.
So I say that that's one point. The other
Yeah.
point is when you watch Will do come back to his seat, it almost looks like there's a history there. And if you do your research, you know that there is a history. In 2016, Chris Rock said some things about them. I'm sure Jada didn't appreciate that as well. Do I think men should protect their women? Yes. Do I think Will was trying to represent that? No. I think Will was emotionally tied into something that's happened in the past, the things that Jada and him have endured for the last few years with all this entanglement and all this other bullshit that's been going on. And I think he was screaming out to the world. That's my perspective on that.
Right, right. And I like how you touched on the average $70,000 a year guy, because the other thing people got to understand is Will Smith did this in a place that can affect his employment. It's not like they was out at a restaurant or out in public somewhere. They
Exactly.
was they was in a space that could affect his employment opportunities going
Mm-hmm.
forward. So this is equal to
Mm-hmm.
your man protecting you at his job or your job, and going ham on
Right.
somebody and just deciding, oh, I don't like what he said, I'm just gonna smack the shit out of him
Right.
and
And
disregard
at this
all the repercussions and consequences
right.
that gonna come out of this moment where I don't have to react like that, right? And I'm in definite agreement with you, Trey. Like, I'm not gonna argue whether Will Smith was right or wrong for feeling how he felt. I'm gonna say I
Right.
think he was wrong for the actions he took in regards to how he felt,
Right.
right? So
Right. Exactly.
I definitely agree with those things.
Yeah, and I just think people got to be careful what they ask for. I see a lot of people out here saying that he I wish I had a man like that. No, you really
Yeah,
don't,
I have
because
seen that.
what he show what he's showing to you is that he has no self control. And let me get off of Will, and then let me go into the tone of Chris Rock. I don't know what the motive is. Yeah, round two, man. Let's get it. Round two. Yes, sir.
Round two.
So let's get into Chris Rock. Let's get into his motives, his tone. If there were subliminal messages, if he knew about the alopecia, if he
Mm-hmm.
knew about certain things, if he knew that this would be
Right.
a underlined emotion, that underlying psych subliminal message to them, like saying, really, I'm saying fuck you in a nice way.
Right.
You know, you know.
And I think a good
Mhm.
segue into that. So he did post a response, an apology. It's a
Oh, he
response.
did.
It's a
Okay.
response, but it is an apology, right? And I'm gonna read it out.
Okay.
It's a bit wordy, but I'm gonna read the whole thing, right?
Okay.
He says, as a comedian, it can be difficult to understand which lines are to be crossed and which ones aren't. Last night, I crossed a line that shouldn't have and paid the enormous price of my reputation. Now, I'm going to pause right there because I don't believe that his reputation was damaged for what happened. Now, back to the
I don't
statement,
either.
right? As a renowned comedian, comedy is never about poking fun at or making light of people with major ordeals happening in their lives. Comedy is about using real life circumstances to create laughter and bring light to an otherwise dark world. With that said, I sincerely apologize to my friends Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith, and the rest of the Smith family for the
Mm,
disrespect and disregard I displayed, which was unfortunately broadcast for the world to see. I hope
mm,
that with time, forgiveness can come of this situation and we can all be better, more considerate people in the end. Right now, I think that was a great
mm.
apology,
Amazing.
right? But I don't think he did anything to warrant the reaction. And I don't think he did anything that makes himself or his reputation um damaged or look like it should be questioned.
And let me say something about that. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, what makes people great. People that can walk that fine line. If you have the ability to walk the fine line and be able to capture things in an artistic way that people aren't able to normally do and articulate, you're going to become a successful person. Chris Rock is one of those people.
Mm.
Dave Chappelle is one of those people. Cat Williams is one of those people. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. These people are talented. And the fact that he was able to, after being disrespected from his perspective as well because he got slapped, he still understood the tone. He still understood the respect. He still understood that they are going through something that he had no business speaking on.
Mm-hmm.
And he addressed it again with an apology. Now, what would I do in that situation? What would I say a real man would do in that situation?
And we
If I
talk
was Will,
and we talk about what Chris Rock would do, and we talk about what Will Smith would have done.
both. We're
Okay.
gonna go both.
Okay.
Round 3, baby.
Okay. Let's go.
Round 3. Let's go. What would I do in that situation? If I'm Will Smith and I'm sitting with my woman, I'm sitting with my wife, and he comes and says something like that, I'm gonna walk up to him and I'm gonna say, look, we're not here for that. We're gonna keep this classy. You're gonna apologize to my wife in the same manner that you just disrespected her. She didn't find it funny. So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna apologize. Chris Rock, I can put money on it, people out there in the world, that he would have apologized live television right then and there, just like he apologized in that message that he just read. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would have done. And then if you want to see him in the back and you feel like slapping the shit out of him, slap the shit out of him.
That's where you do it. Right.
because you have too much to lose.
Yeah.
You are a black man at the top of your level, and nobody's talking about the few black men who's even won that honor.
Mm-hmm.
It's all been down. It's all been thrown out and thrown away because this action that happened to you. And Denzel said it the best: at your highest peak, the devil will come see you. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So if I was Will, he needs to work on that self-control. He needs to work on that emotion. And once again, it's easier said than done. We all struggle with that.
Right.
But you have to understand it. And you have to understand that you can't allow your emotions to get the best of you. And there's a way to protect your woman without throwing away your livelihood and throwing away her livelihood. Because let that have been somebody else, you might have threw away your livelihood.
Right.
Be lucky it was Chris Rock sitting up there and not somebody else. Now, I'm not gonna get in. I'm gonna just leave it at that. I'm not gonna say nothing else about that.
Right.
You know.
Well,
so
I'm gonna say something about that because
go ahead.
That's something I've thought about, right? And I'm not going. I'm gonna keep it on topic, and I don't mean to make this what if thing, like, because we can what if shit to death. What if, what if Chris Rock was a female comedian? What if Chris Rock was a white comedian?
If was a
if
it was a fifth, we all be drunk.
Exactly, right. So I'm not gonna if this to death because we can. So I'm not gonna do that. Now going forward, what is Will Smith gonna do when people start cracking jokes about him smacking the shit out of Chris Rock? He already couldn't take the joke of his wife, right? So what's going to happen now if he's sitting in the audience and somebody start cracking jokes about this scenario, which is super embarrassing, something Will Smith has already apologized for and has said he shouldn't have reacted that way, right? Something he's already acknowledged that took away from the night and the honors and the whole purpose of him being there, right? How's he gonna feel about comedians making fun of this situation in front of him and Jada?
Right. I mean, that's a good point.
Because it's gonna be worse now. Like what's about to start being said, it's gonna be way worse.
It's already being said. All you got to do is turn your phone on. All you got to do is see. I mean, every channel that's a news channel is talking about it. Every social media outlet is talking about it.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be.
You had an issue. It's a very contradicting reaction to a comedian making a statement to you, which, because you reacted in that way, now the world is making these same joking, disrespectful comments about you or about Jada or about your situation, whatever those things may be. But now you've opened up Pandora's box.
Right.
You've opened up a whole line of people who wouldn't have mentioned your name or thought about these things, who are now making jokes, doing skits the whole nine. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of a contradicting. You went and you did something, and now people are going to joke about that. You went and tried to defend your wife's honor and her name
Mm-hmm.
because Chris Rock made a statement about made a subliminal joke about her hair, and you went and did something that was even more embarrassing and more controversial for the world to crack more jokes about.
Right. Now, the craziest thing I've read is a couple people has said that and I go, and again, this goes back to people trying to think like Will Smith, like trying to determine what or why he was angry or disrespected. So this is the wildest
Mm-hmm.
thing I've heard. Somebody said the reason he got so upset is because with all the entanglements and all that situations they've had, apparently
Mm-hmm.
there was a G.I. Jane porno star back in the day of some sorts. And
Mm.
the thought process was that Chris Rock was not making an assumption about her haircut, but making a joke, a subliminal joke about her being akin to a porn star
Wow.
named G.I. Jane. Now,
Wow.
as wild as that sounds, could it be true? Maybe. I don't know.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
None of us knows. I mean, and I'm
None
sure
of us
people
really know.
right, and I'm sure people gonna kick around reasons all day long, which is not something
Yeah.
we're gonna do on this show at least, because we don't know we don't care
Right.
about the reason, right?
Right.
But we care about the action. Um,
Yeah.
Another thing I'll say to that, maybe this is round three, man. I don't know. Let's go round three.
We on round four. We on
Okay, let's
round
go round
four.
four. Right, round four.
Bing.
Now,
Let's do it, man.
what Will has opened up, if you're not somebody who people like, but you are so good at what you do and you had so much success, it makes them look bad by shitting on you. And they just waiting. They waiting for you to fuck up so they can
Mm-hmm.
jump on that bandwagon and really, really try
Mm-hmm.
to destroy what you've built. And
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith has opened the door for those people. So if there's
Yep.
anybody who has any type of power that's
They
been
going in.
sitting in the cut, waiting for
They
him
going in.
to mess up because they've never liked him, whether it was personal or business, or they worked with him and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't like his attitude or whatever it was. He is giving
Mm-hmm.
all those people an opportunity and a space to now really put their foot on his neck for something he
Mm-hmm.
chose to do.
Yeah.
Now, I
I
don't,
agree.
you know what I mean? So from that perspective, I don't think Chris Rock is going to sit back and let that happen. Like I can see him defending Will Smith in a way. Even with his apology, he still took onus and took responsibility for what he said. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
think Chris Rock is going to play that game. But the
Mm-hmm.
Oscars and the Academy and all that mess, they are already talking about releasing the document. They
Taking
got
it away.
yeah, they got some document they wrote up. They reviewing the tape and
Yeah.
they talk about maybe kicking him out of some
Of
acting
this,
club
yeah,
and
this
shit
group.
and right, all
Mm-hmm.
that, right? So if
Yeah.
this is ever a time for Will Smith's haters that got some power to step
Mm-hmm.
in and take something from him, this is that time. This is the door he's open. And I'm saying that because my people out there, y'all have to think about that kind of shit when y'all snap and react on things. There are people out there waiting for you to fail, waiting for you to do something stupid so that they can exaggerate it to the point to where it starts to affect you more than it probably should. Right?
And you know what? You know what, Dub? I'm gonna interrupt you right here because you made me think about something that's personal that I could react to. I could be reacting to something, and you know what I'm talking about, but I could be
Yeah.
reacting to something in a
Right, right,
certain manner.
right,
But I have self control. I
right.
have integrity. I have a certain responsibility to my family that I'm not going to react in that way. You know what I mean? I got
Hmm.
all the reason out there. I got every reason to take it to 1,000. I got every
Right.
reason to do that, but you have to be willing to understand who wins. No one wins
That's
in
right.
that situation. Nobody wins. And again, Will Smith is at the level of what we would call, for example, black excellence, right? He's one
Absolutely.
of those ones. Chris Rock would be one of those ones as well. They have such an enormous body of work, such an enormous amount of wealth, such a rapport with not only the black community but with America as a whole. They have the resources and the wherewithal to make mistakes.
Right.
Don't get this shit twisted, people. You don't have those resources. You don't have these you don't have that. You don't have those
You
relationships
don't have the audience.
where you don't have the audience, you don't have the resources, you don't have anything. So all y'all people out there talking about, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, that's what I need. No, 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 no. You don't want either side of this.
That's right.
Chris Rock needs to understand a certain where he needs to understand the tone and the level of and a level of being conscious of what's going on in their lives instead of him. Because again, some people say he was just doing his job. He gets paid to be controversial, just like some of these other comedians that I named. They bought. You think it's a coincidence that he was the one doing those jokes at that time, at that moment, during that time frame? They strategically put Chris Rock in that situation for that moment to see what would happen.
Mm.
That wasn't something that was just out the blue. Chris Rock wasn't the host. Chris Rock was introducing nominees, I think, for the best documentary or whatever it is. That was strategic. That's why he had the jokes he had. It was strategic to be there. Chris Rock just didn't take heed to the emotional and the mental health of what's going on between Will and Jada, because there's a lot of mental health things that's going on there, and you can see it in Will.
Right.
But back to your point, please understand that you need to be able to understand the consequences for over exaggerating your level of disrespect. Once again, I'm not taking anything away from your disrespect. If you feel disrespected, I'm a firm believer. If you say you feel disrespected, I can't tell you that you haven't been disrespected. I can't tell you how you're supposed to feel. I don't give a damn if you know whatever. It doesn't matter. I can't say, "Oh, you're not disrespected." No, 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 no. Everybody has their own right to that. So, that's all I really had to say about it. I really think people need to really pay attention to the history, the motives, the tone, the respect, the control, some of the things that are unstable that's going on there, and because of those actions, because of what actually happened. So for me, I really think that Will could have handled this a lot better and still protected his woman, his wife, and he could have still been able to, because again, there's a believe me, there's a round table and they sitting around and they saying, I told you. That's what they saying. It's a round table. They sitting around drinking their drink and they said, got him.
No,
Got him.
you drinking your drink.
Got him. Got him.
All right. So last question I got. At least this is the last one I have. You know what I'm saying? Round 6.
Round 6.
Man, we gotta do something with that bell. So is Will Smith the new Kanye? Is Will Smith about to be the new Kanye? Is he about to get the same heat Kanye got? So now let me remind the world. Kanye grabbed the microphone and gave his opinion. Right? No one was physically harmed. Yeah, a little embarrassed, but no one was physically harmed. Right? Will Smith literally assaulted Chris Rock in front of all the viewers and in front of all the people that was physically there. So is he about to catch the same heat as Kanye for interrupting the show and giving his opinion, or is it going to be worse for interrupting the show and smacking the shit out of somebody, and then saying twice, "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth."
Is
Twice.
he the new Kanye?
So is he about
So
to is
that's
he
a
about to
good
get that
question to
heat
put on
that Kanye got?
that's a good question to put on our social media, man. We got to put that out there.
That's what
I'm
I want to
gonna
know.
answer the question. Yeah, I'm gonna answer that question, and I'm gonna say no. And I think people would agree with me that he's not the new Kanye because Kanye has affected people other than Kanye has done things towards other people other than black folks.
Mm, mm,
So it's looked at a little differently. It's looked at a little. It may be looked at a little more harsh.
right,
You know, it may be looked at a little more hostile.
right.
You know, uh, but I would say that they both they both represent the same accountability. They both need the same accountability.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if people in general are going to say that he's the new Kanye. And the reason why I will say he's not the new Kanye is because there's different aspects of culture involved where there are different cultures affected.
Right.
Um, when it comes to the young lady who was getting the
Ta-
award and he
Taylor
ran up
Swift.
there and Taylor Swift, the
Right.
young lady Taylor Swift who was getting the award and he ran up there and did what he did. Um, you're actually affecting a whole fan club of people, millions and millions of people and family and people who love her. You're actually not only disrespecting her, but you're disrespecting them as well.
Mm.
So when you start disrespecting the whole culture, that's when things get a little different.
Yeah, that is a little different.
Um, yeah, so I would say no because there are different cultures involved. But this Chris Rock, Will, and Jada thing, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how these next few months play out and what Chris Rock does and how he responds if he comes out with a special, if he does an interview. I know you said he put out an apology,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe he takes the high road like he's done. But I tell you, if you watch Chris Rock, he caught himself. He was about to say something. He was about to say something, Dub.
Right.
He was about to say, "Well, I can." And he looked. He said,
Yeah. Nah.
let me fall
Yeah.
back.
You ain't
Let
gonna
me
fuck up
fall
my
back."
money.
So for me, and this is just me out here, world. This is me. One of the elements of the definition of a man will be what he just did. He showed self-control. He didn't hit him back. He didn't tackle him. He was about to say something. He didn't do it. He made a mistake. Yes, I will say he did make a mistake when trying to walk that thin line. But that's what genius people do. That's what risk takers do. They walk that line. And sometimes they blow themselves up, and sometimes they can cure cancer with it. They find something beautiful. They create a beautiful art. But that's what risk
Mm-hmm.
takers do. Risk takers
That's right.
walk the fine line and they take risks, right?
And,
So this
and Chris
situation,
Rock, I
yeah,
will say, and Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle are one of the two greatest to walk that line in the comedic sense.
they walk the line,
In
man.
our
They
time,
walk the line.
right? In our
In
time,
our
right
time,
now.
right? I mean, of course, like I said, you can go back and Red Fox, Richard Pryor, some of the, Robin Harris, these guys,
Mm,
God rest their souls and everything. But again, this dude walks a fine line, and he says he says the things that we think about that we don't want to say,
mm-hmm.
and that's what has got him to the level where he is. It just happened to blow up in his face because he was dealing with somebody who has other things going on with him and his wife, and he has some things that he's dealing with, which we can see. So I say all that to say, both sides have a level of responsibility that they should be acknowledging. I'm not sure if Will is really, because I think in the in the acceptance speech, he kind of compared himself to the
A
Venus
character.
Williams. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he kind of compared himself like I'm
Yeah.
protecting my family, and this was another thing, Dub. He kept saying my people.
My people. Yeah. I'm protecting my
Who the fuck?
people.
Who the fuck you just slapped?
Right.
Did you slap somebody that wasn't your people?
You
You
just
just
slapped
slapped your
you
people.
just slapped the shit out of your people.
Fuck is you talking about, man? Stop playing with me, man. Like I can't do that, man. Like, come on, man.
Right.
Stop it, man.
So that's wild you say that, because I was thinking about that when doing his acceptance speech. I was like, well, you talking about protecting people and you moving into this space where you want to be a protector, and you want to be the river that people come to, or whatever the hell he said about that. And in the same way, I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, you just smacked the shit out of somebody on national TV.
Right.
But now
Right.
you giving a
He was
speech with tears in your eyes, talk about how
yeah.
you want to be the protector, right? That don't even make sense, man.
He made himself seem like he was a peaceful man and he's nonviolent and like he was Martin Luther King out this joint. You know what I mean? Like you just slapped the shit out of
You should
somebody,
smack
bro.
the shit out of somebody, man.
You just slapped the shit out your brother.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the guys that has came. You just slapped a man. And ladies, let me again. I wanna remove y'all from this situation. I'm talking about this black man on this statement right here. You just slapped a man that has came through the same racism and the same bullshit that you had to endure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And all I'm saying is you could have handled that in a better way.
Right.
And from the Chris Rock's perspective, you walked a fine line. It blew up in your face. You need to do a little bit more research, whatever it may be. But Chris Rock is, like I said, there's footage of him in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, where he was going in on them.
Mm.
And I just think Jada and Will are just fed up. They're fed
Yeah.
up about everything that's happening. They're fed up about all the things that are going on. And they clearly have an understanding of what their marriage is. And it's not the conventional way of what we think marriage is. And they don't give a shit about what people think. They have their own views and their own ways of how they handle things. But again, if you slapping the shit out of people, it's a lot of other people you need to slap too. You might as well. Chris Rock is not the first 20 people on your list, because there's been a
That's
lot
right.
of people that's been very judgmental, and a lot of famous people that's been very judgmental on Jada and Will. And I think it just at that moment, Will was expressing his frustration overall these years, all the things that they've been going through as a unit.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So don't be Chris Rock and don't be Will Smith. If you get
And don't
anything
be
out of
neither
this,
one.
yeah, if you get anything out of this 30 minutes or whatever
Facts.
this is, don't be Chris Rock
Facts.
and don't be Will Smith. Right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So but by now, episode 1 has been released. So you guys go ahead and check that out. If you listen to this first, that's all good too. If you got any questions, concerns, anything you want to say or anything you heard here, man, hit us up on our IG at Dub Tre. Hit us up on our Facebook page, Dub Tre Podcast. You can message us on a messenger via Facebook, and you can hit us up on email, dubandtre@gmail.com. If you got anything you want to add to this and anything you want to challenge, any perspective you want to give us about it,
challenge me.
we here for it.
Yeah, challenge me, because I need, like I said, y'all out there talking about Will did his thing. He protected his woman. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear that shit. That's some bullshit. The bottom line is this. That shit sound good when you got 800 million in your account. But when you got $250 and your man got locked up,
and gas is $4.16 a gallon.
yeah.
Shit.
Baby,
you
what
know
you
better.
doing? You know we gotta pay this rent. They gonna lock your ass up. I'm gonna leave it at that, man.
Hey,
Much
man.
love, y'all.
Hey, man.
We out, man.
Let us know what y'all think, man. We out.
Peace.